expecting close to 40 participants, but we'll get started in the interest of time. So once again, good morning, everyone. My name is Surbi Kumar, and I am the founder of the firm, The Dreamcatchers, which is an education consulting firm, and we are based out of Mumbai. So let me start with telling you a little bit about the Dreamcatchers. So our mission is primarily to assist students in realizing their dream of obtaining a quality and best fit education. So you would wonder, how would we do that? So for grade 9th and 10th, specifically, we have subject and stream selection services. For grade 11th and 12th, we have course and college selection services. If I dive into specific services which we offer, it starts with a psychometric assessment test, which really helps students identify their aptitude, their interest type, and their personality traits. On the basis of this aptitude, personality, and interest, there is a detailed career fitment report which gets generated and which gives information around the top 10 career clusters best aligned to that specific student. Okay, so again, this report is just a starting point for us. We get into an individualized and personalized counseling with the student, and then our goal is to help student with multiple career entry pathways, which again is best aligned to them, to their profile, and wherever needed, provide them a detailed action plan. We also provide our services in the higher education admission guidance space, primarily I would say we cover both Indian and overseas university, and primarily the services which we provide includes the profile assessment and building, country and course shortlisting, best fit college mapping, letter of recommendations and statement of purpose guidance, scholarship guidance, interview preparation. Wherever there is an interview by the university, we help the student prepare for those interviews as well. And last but not the least, even the important step of getting the visa. Okay, so let's move on. I'll first give you the lineup of our session today so that everyone has their expectation right. So we'll start with the overview of the career in data science. What this overview would cover is the day-to-day roles and responsibilities, skills and competencies needed to thrive in this career, subject combinations, supportive curricular activities. We'll also talk about the common college pathways, or what you can also say as entry pathways, top colleges in India and across the globe, recruiters in India and across the globe. Just keep in mind that this is an overview. Okay, so we will not dive into the specifics of data science as a career as such. So our goal is just to furnish you as students and parents with some basic information, and then you can carry on the research at your end, or if you want any further details, you can book an appointment with us. Okay, the highlight of our session today is the fireside chat with Mr. Sudarshan Shidore, who is an accomplished data scientist. We'll also keep some time aside for Q&A, and depending upon the time we have, we'll try to take a few live questions as well. But my request to each of you is, during the session itself, if you have questions popping up in your mind, please keep posting it in the chat box and send those specifically to the host, that is to me, and I'll pick the questions from there. Okay, so with that, let's just first start with a warm-up quiz. So shortly you will see a poll appearing on your screen. I'm just launching the poll. I hope all of you can see it. So I'm just trying to test some basic knowledge of our audience here. So which of the following is a real-world application of data science? So I'll keep the poll open just for, say, 10-12 seconds, and then we'll see what is the response which we are getting. So come on, I can see few responses coming in, but I'll appreciate if most of you can respond. Okay. Okay, so let me end the poll and just share the result. So I hope you can see the result now. So yes, the correct answer is all of the above. Data science has application across different fields, different industries as such, and we just put some examples there. Okay, so with that, let's move on in terms of setting the base of or the foundation of what this data science field is exactly. So data science is the practice of mining large sets of raw data. It is both structured as well as unstructured data to identify patterns and extract actionable insights from them. So how does it help organizations? It helps varied organizations in taking well-informed business decisions, which helps in increasing efficiency, managing cost, identifying new market opportunities, and boosting their market advantage, and many more than that as well. Now, who is a data scientist? Or data scientists are experts in analyzing data and solving complex problems. They have the technical skills of a mathematician and computer scientist, and very important, the curiosity of a trend spotter. Okay, so I hope with that there is some base set in terms of what data science is. So let's move on to this very important slide, and I want each of you, especially the students out there, to pay attention to it, because this will help you understand what kind of work you can expect in this field and how you can really make yourself ready for this profession. So when we talk about roles and responsibilities, data cleaning and preparation, it takes a lot of work there, I must say. Data analysis and interpretation, model development and statistical analysis, data visualization, communication and reporting the same or the insights to the stakeholders, proposing solutions and strategies to different business challenges for which you might be undertaking this data analysis and data interpretation exercise itself. Optimization and automation wherever possible, and experiment designing. So with the data itself, you will have to create an experiment so that you can really prove your hypothesis, or kind of not prove your hypothesis as such. So some kind of experiment designing as well. In terms of skills and competencies needed, mathematical skills, it is the foundation of data science itself, both mathematics and statistics, I would say. Analytical skills, having problem solving skills, programming proficiency, especially like languages like Python, R, and Sudarshan sir would touch upon many other programming languages as such during our fireside chat shortly. The database technologies, having knowledge of that like SQL or NoSQL, data visualization, machine learning, data wrangling, so making your data ready for the interpretation itself, which includes, like, again, a lot of data cleaning itself, storytelling, because once you have derived the insights from the data, you have to explain the story with that data to your stakeholders as well. Domain knowledge, so say for example, if you are doing this exercise or being a data scientist, say in a healthcare space, so it is very important that you have a reasonable understanding of that space as well. Again, continuous learning and adaptability, things are very dynamic in this space, so you have to continuously learn and adapt as well. Now, in high schools, what subjects you can choose to study? Mathematics, definitely. Like, as I have mentioned earlier as well, it's the foundation of data science. And if your school offers statistics as a separate subject, please take that as well. Computer science and programming, and economics as well. Again, these are ideal subjects, but except I would say mathematics, it's not that other subjects are mandatory. Now, again, how you can expose yourself in this field more through different extracurricular activities, participate in different maths olympiads and competitions, in hackathons, contribute in different open source projects, attend workshops and seminars, and if possible, participate in data science competitions. And there are many platforms available, and I've just listed two of those, Analytics Vidya and Driven Data. They really run a lot of competitions at regular interval. Okay, moving on, I'll just run another poll for all of you. Again, this is more for, sorry, I think the previous one launched. This is more for you all to understand what exactly psychometric assessments are. Okay, so let me launch the second one. I hope you can see it on your screen now. So what is the purpose of using psychometric assessments in career exploration? I've started receiving few responses. Great. Okay. So I'll just keep it open for another few seconds. So for those of you, and just let me just share the result now. So yeah, those of you who responded, you're right, to provide objective insights into a student's aptitude, interest, and personality traits related to potential careers. So I just want to bust that myth that psychometric assessment can help you predict a perfect career, because as is, there is no such thing as a perfect career. Plus, those assessments are not meant for that. Secondly, it cannot give you any insight into your academic performance. For that, you have your academic grades. With that, let's move on to what is the best aligned aptitude, personality, and interest for someone who is looking to have a career in data science. Okay, so a data scientist should have a high numerical and reasoning aptitude. In terms of personality, I'll just focus on two aspects, which is being experimental and imaginative or creative there. In terms of being focused or being organized instead of being easygoing, I would say that's something which would help a lot. In terms of interest, having a high investigative interest, which is being like research oriented, being curious and conventional in the sense of being structured, organized, and meticulous in your job. And being artistic, it is again from the sense of being creative, right? Not like being in art field per se. Again, my goal is to just show this to you so that you know what kind of aptitude, personality, and interest is needed. And there are definitely different ways to develop your aptitude and interest in the right direction as well if you are planning to pursue your career in data science. Okay. Moving on, again, this is a slide where I wanted to tell all the students, particularly high school students here, how can you really enter into this field when it comes from a course standpoint. So particularly talking about India, so you can come from, again, any stream, but having mathematics and statistics is something which is needed, and primarily mathematics, as I said earlier. So you can do your bachelor in computer application or computer science or information technology, or bachelor in mathematics or applied mathematics, bachelor's in economics, bachelor's in data science, or bachelor's in statistics. And after doing your bachelor's, you can take any of this master's course as well. Again, computer science or master's in IT, master's in mathematics, applied mathematics, data science, business analytics, business intelligence, statistics, and even what has become very popular these days is MBA in data science and artificial intelligence. Now, the other pathway is you do your engineering, okay, and you take PCM in 11th and 12th, you do your BTech. You can do your BTech in data science as well. There are a few colleges which offers that, but any BTech or bachelor's of engineering, and then you can do your MBA in data science and artificial intelligence, or MTech in data science itself. So again, these are common entry pathways. There are much other pathways beyond that, but these are the ones which are kind of very prevalent and prepare you well for this field. There is also an option with the students to do PhD in data science, and that would take many years as well. So once you're done with your study route, and again, like your formal studies, because learning will never stop in this field, to say, you can really target securing entry-level job or as a junior data scientist, or sometimes like as a data analyst as well, across different industries and sectors. As you can see on my screen, I've listed down so many industries or sectors because data science has application in many of the industries these days. Okay, as you would have noticed in my earlier slide, I showed a picture which said data is the new oil, because it's a very valuable resource which helps companies and organizations to derive a lot of insights and helps them in taking business decisions. Okay, with that, I also wanted to show you what kind of course combinations are prevalent in other countries like UK, Australia, US, and Canada. So as you can see on my screen, there are different combinations, like something like computational biology and data science, psychology with data science, right? Public health and data science, to name a few. And again, these are the popular ones, but there are other combinations available both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. So if you want to know more, like which are the combinations, how you can prepare your profile better, then feel free to book an appointment with us. Moving on, I also wanted to talk about some of the colleges itself, which offers good data science courses. So starting with our country itself, so there is interdisciplinary dual degree program in artificial intelligence and data science, which is offered by IIT Bombay. And then IIT Kanpur offers 4-year Bachelor's of Science and even Bachelor of Science plus Master of Science 5-year integrated program, which is in statistics and data science. Then BTech in artificial intelligence and data science at Triple IT Sri City is also a very popular course and high demand. And BTech in data science at Vellore Institute of Technology. Again, these are few colleges which I have named. Across the country or across the globe, you can see there are many other colleges offering this course or something related to data science and even artificial intelligence. Closer to home, even in Singapore, NTU and NUS that offers these courses. And again, these are very popular courses itself. Moving on, I also wanted to give you some understanding of where all you can expect to work in terms of companies or organizations once you are kind of like you have prepared yourself well in this field. So you can target working at technology companies, TCS, Infosys, Microsoft, and Google of the world. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals is a big space, like companies like Bharat Biotech, Pfizer. Finance and banking, all different banks have the data science roles open. E-commerce and retail space itself, Amazon, Flipkart. Education and edtech, they employ people from data science role big time, like Coursera, an academy. And these days, World Cup fever is on. So sports analytics and fantasy sports also, just wanted to mention that they also employ people from data science background. And then again, there are many other sectors as well. So this is just a glimpse of it. So I hope this was helpful. So with that, I kind of come to an end of what I wanted to cover in today's session. So I'll just move to the highlight of our session today, which is the fireside chat with Mr. Sudarshan Shidore, and sir has already joined us. So I'll just give a brief intro of sir. So he works as a chief data scientist for retail business at TCS, with a career spanning various organizations, including Praxis Technologies, Infosys, Magic Software, and Learning Mate Solutions. Mr. Shidore brings a wealth of experience to the table. Not only he has made significant contributions to the corporate sector, but he has also left a mark in academia as a senior faculty at Symbiosis International University, and he taught courses like consumer behavior, data mining for CRM, managerial statistics, and foundation marketing. Mr. Shidore's academic journey is just as impressive as his professional one. He has done his MTech in mathematics and statistics from IIT Delhi and MBA in marketing from marketing and information systems from IIM Ahmedabad. His passion for literature led him to also author a book. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Sudarshan sir to our session today. So welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Survi. Good morning. I'm good. So happy to be part of this session. And thank you for that wonderful intro that you gave. I think you guys at Dreamcatchers are doing a wonderful job. The kind of guidance that you're giving to these youngsters. And yeah, happy to be here this morning. Good morning to all the participants, all the youngsters who are watching this, who have joined us on a Sunday morning, and their parents, and maybe we have some older students as well, but yeah, welcome to everyone. Yeah, let's get rolling. Yeah.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. So I'll dive straight away into my first question itself. For the benefit of our audience, could you provide a simplified explanation of what data science entails? And perhaps what I feel is equally important, clarify what falls outside the scope of data science.
Sure. So you could think of it like this, because these are largely high school students. So there are the physical sciences, and then there is like physics, and then there's chemistry, which is the chemical sciences, and there's data science, right? So if you want to draw a parallel, physics deals with the study of physical objects, whether at the microscopic or macroscopic, very cosmic level, and reaches some laws, right? So you want to establish laws. Mm-hmm. And chemistry deals with the the way you deal with chemical structures, and you establish laws and find things and predict things. So data science is you could think of it, it helps you think of it along the similar lines. It's a study of data, but we don't establish laws. Although there are some laws that work in data science, of course, like Zipf's law and Bedford's law, so there are these laws, but they come off from applied math, and then there are the other laws for hardware. But let's not get into that. Data science is the study of data to establish structures, patterns, inferences, predictions, right? And it's a very huge universe out there. So you touched upon so many disciplines, Surabhi, in your presentation just now. So there was economics, there was health science, there was psychology, and it's all true. So that was a very good slide. I really like that slide where you talked about how data can contribute to so many fields. And of course, there's business, which is so it needn't be, it could be a it could be a NGO also, and they might have data science skills, people sitting over there that happened in the lockdown as well. There were people, somebody we know at TIFR was doing the modeling of the pandemic, in Bombay, a very talented guy. So, but that's not for business, right? That's for general health. So what is data science? So it's a study of data to find patterns or structures or to make inferences or predictions. And actually, the field has been there for quite a while. It's been there for hundreds of years, ever since. So I should tell you that the word data comes from the Latin word dera. Okay, I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is to give. Okay, so dena, D-A-R-A, dera. Because that's how the government officials used to provide facts to the king or whoever in Europe. So then that word became data, and really it's about giving things, giving information, giving data. So it's about things as you see them, and the important thing is you have to work with things that can be measured. Okay, and they needn't be physical things. So in physics, you have to have a physical object, right? Otherwise, you can't have physical laws, right? You can't have. Physics doesn't deal with abstract things typically. The theory is abstract, but it deals with things which are really there, atoms and stuff like that, right? Which you guys must be studying in your schools. But data can deal with something like attitudes, opinions, right? So you want a attitude survey about. So market research is also data science at one level. It can deal with non-tangible things, but it has to be measured. If you can't measure it, then it's not really data science, because you have to work with something that you can measure. And what is not data science? And that's there are two ways of answering this. One is in the universe of people who work in data science. So there are a lot of functions which are very important for a data science project to run, for it to be successful. So things like programmers, data engineers, people who deal very well with visuals, and that's a mini field in itself. So there's this very interesting book by, I think, a guy called Edward Tufte, Tufte, which is about how to use visuals intelligently anywhere in the world, right? Not just for business. So that's a very important field, but that's not quite data science. So data science is what I said, it's a thing that really takes help from all these functions, and they're all important functions. I have people who work in data engineering who are extracting data in my team, and the people who are helping create the visuals. But really, it's the ability to think logically and find a story, a true story in the data. So you can think of, data has a story to tell, okay, but it can't really get very far, the way the things work in this world. And we are the kind of interpreters, the kind of go-betweens who help tell that story. And when I say story, it's not a fictional story. It's a true story of what's really happening with the data and what you need to do. So you mentioned insights, right? So what insight do we have from this data? What inference can we make? What predictions can we make? So that's what we do. Okay. And another way of looking at what data science isn't is that if it doesn't deal with something that you can measure, then it's not data science. So any science which is based on non-measurement, I wouldn't call that data science. That's the way I see it. So there are two ways of looking at what it is not, and yeah, that's a field.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much, sir, for providing your inputs there. So I'll move on to my next question, which is specifically pertaining to your own journey in this field. So just share that with us and also help us understand how you arrived in this field of data science itself.
Well, it is a conscious choice. I had the background. I majored in mathematics in IIT Delhi and also computer science. But this is a time when you used to have DOS So I don't know, maybe the parents of the youngsters who are watching it probably remember something called DOS. It's a long time back. And I worked in software solutions for a couple of years, turnkey projects, and we'll talk about that as well, how traditional software is different from the new thing called machine learning, which is really being talked about a lot in the last 10, 12 years in popular media. And then I worked in edtech. I was fascinated by edtech. I worked in, I helped launch products and all across India for international markets. And then I decided to come back into a field which was always been dear for me, which is mathematical thinking and data science. And now I'm also doing a lot of machine learning projects at TCS. So I made a lateral move. So probably I'm not the best example of somebody who wants to start, these youngsters who want to get into the field, like the list of courses that you showed, that very comprehensive and excellent list. They'll probably want to do computer science and start as programmers, as data engineers, data analysts, as you mentioned, and then move up, data scientist, head of research, who knows, CTO, never know, right? So you should always keep ambitions high, and that's what I want to tell the youngsters. So I made a lateral move, and it was a conscious choice to come into a field where so much is happening, so much discovery, and so much to contribute to.
Great. So I think just upskilling yourself if you want to come into this field, even if you are from a little different field, is something which people can really think of as well. Am I right in saying so?
Yes, upskilling is always important. It's a knowledge economy. We read about this so often. It was important even in the 80s and 90s, but now what has happened is that the number of career choices has gone up hugely in the last 25 years, especially for middle class India.
True.
It was quite different in the 80s and definitely very different in the 70s. And that's where people like you are so good, so helpful, because the number of options is mind-boggling. But somewhere there's also an intersection of careers. So you talked about sports analytics, and that field didn't exist 20 years back. So India was one of the first teams to use data to become better, and there are even books and films on that. So upskilling is important because depending on the path you choose in your career, what you thought wasn't your field, wasn't your domain, will suddenly become useful. So yes, upskilling is very important. So, yes.
Okay. My next question is, like right now, your current role at TCS is that of a chief data scientist. So if you can shed some light on the roles and responsibilities which you have currently, that's one part of the question. And also help us understand what is the typical day of a data scientist as such.
Right. Okay, so I can talk about this in generic terms because I can't share stuff about specific clients or something, because at TCS we have very strong confidentiality, clauses.
Sure.
So a typical week. Okay, let's do it like this. So what happens is that it all starts with a business problem, right? So there is a retail client, there's a banking client, there's a telecom client, and they have a business problem, and they think that part of the solution is going to come from data, not from so much from soft skills or strategy or other things which are also important. And that's when they get talking to somebody, and that's when we come in and we say, okay, this is a problem we want to solve. And so what are the different ways of solving it? So I kind of reflect and say that, is this something that needs simply statistical inference, or does it need, applied math? So maybe something like linear programming, simplex, or something which is classical operations research, or does it need something like machine learning, right? What exactly is it a prediction problem, in which case you'll probably need machine learning. You need to build a model to predict something. Okay. And I have to go back and tell them that this is what I want to do, and this is the data I need. And then there's this back and forth with the client, and of course our own people. Like, this is the data that we have, and this is how far back it goes, and what can we do with this, and how complete is the data. And then the work starts. Once the data is assembled, that takes some time. As you said, data engineering is not a trivial task. That's when you start building something which is useful. And when you're done with it, and in between, I may have to research, I may have to collaborate with the research team at TCS. You have a very strong research and innovation team. So
Okay.
they do some very cutting edge work. And sometimes there is a point where I need something because the field is changing so fast, machine learning, especially in the last 5-10 years, that I may need some inputs from them, specialized people from the research team.
Okay.
Then, of course, the buy-in from the business unit head, who will want to look at what we are doing, and we might want to check once a month or something. And then, of course, when we have findings, we present those to the client and part of those meetings, where we convince them that this is the thing that we did and this is what we think you should do. This is what we found. And that is in itself, so clients are sometimes, I wouldn't say, so they don't know some of the stuff which is happening, and they need to know also because they're running their business, right? So you're running a telecom company, you may not know the latest thing happening in AI or ML or even something which is, optimization techniques. So they have questions, and we have to answer those questions in a very matter-of-fact way. And sometimes we have to give them solutions which we are, which may be our second choice, but then the client is king. So that does happen, I think, in many fields. So that's the real, and the joy of, finally selling a solution, whether it's a proof of concept or whether it is a paid project or something. That's huge, right? Especially in TCS. And that's a typical week or typical month for me. I interface with programmers, data analysts, data engineers, my sales team, and that's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. We have started receiving few questions, but everyone, so I am just covering some of those aspects which you have already kind of asked, but we'll keep aside sometimes towards the end and we'll pick those questions as well. Okay.
Sure.
So till then, I'll just continue with my questions because that will cover some of the questions which has come to us.
Sure.
Okay. So, sir, per you, like what educational background is most valuable for someone who wants to pursue their career in this field? And I know you mentioned that you made a lateral move in this field, but as per you, like again, what kind of specific subjects or experiences, specifically for the high school audience, would be more relevant in shaping them up well for this career?
Right, that's a good question. So you mentioned the cornerstone, it's mathematics, a lot of mathematics, right? So we talked about that. Programming is also important, right? So you need to know light programming. You need to also, I think it's also a lot of these things come from, curiosity. So you need to be very curious about the world. About what's happening, because data scientist is by nature a very curious person. He needs to know what's happening. And well, you need to be able to think logically. You need to be able to, see patterns quickly. And you need to see mathematics as something, as a language to understand the real world. Okay. That's not the same as scoring high in maths. Okay. So let me say that, because when you talk about skills and competencies, you need to know that maths is also a language, and like all languages, it can be inadequate at times, and it can be over adequate at times, which may sound strange, but sometimes it goes into areas which don't make a connection to the real world, and then you have to step back and say, no, I don't want to use maths here. It doesn't make sense. But typically that doesn't happen in our kind of work, but it can happen, right, if you're really interested. And there are other skills as well, right? So these are the hard skills, and I think your question was to do with overall skills.
Yeah.
Right. So you need negotiation skills. That may sound surprising, but a lot of these things are to do with you have to deal with clients and with research scientists who are sometimes busy and may not so they're very good at what they do, but they may not have time. You need to negotiate time with them, and you need to negotiate with the client for getting the data. And tell them why the data is important. You need communication and presentation skills, of course, because at the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the project, you will be the person, or you'll be one of the two people who's actually presenting the findings or the model to the client and getting the buy-in or the the dollar value. You need to have patience. I think that's important, because data engineering is a sometimes frustrating task. So it's not like the data is served to you on a golden platter. It takes time. And you need to be able to mentor people. I think that's increasingly important in most professions, but I find it important, especially in data science. I enjoy doing it with my juniors. And yeah, it really helps because you're building people and they will be doing some work in the future when you won't be there. That's very important for the company.
Great.
Yeah.
So I think you made a very beautiful statement there saying mathematics is also a language. So
Yes.
that is something which kind of is an eye opener, because I think that's how we should look at
Yes.
the subject. And it seems this is the
Absolutely.
foundational subject for someone who wants to make a career in this. And thank you for
Absolutely.
additionally touching upon the skills as well, both the hard skills as well as soft skills too. So thanks for that, sir.
Sure.
So now let me move on to my next question, which is if our audience can get some insights into what is the career path of a data scientist, or what kind of career progression they can expect, right? I think that would be useful. And together with that, what kind of opportunities are available again for growth and advancements in this field?
So I work in a technology giant, right? So, but as you mentioned, there are so many other sectors which need data science skills.
Yeah.
But typically, one would start. You could even start actually as a business analyst. I know people who start as business analysts, and they are more on the business side, doing secondary research and all the stuff that goes into reports, and that's very important work. But they're not working with data in the way that they should be as data scientists. So you could start as business analysts, you could start as programmers, you could start as data engineers. If you're in a non-tech company, I believe that you could start in a domain function like a banking executive. I'm not sure what they call them at entry level, but you could study more about these techniques and then help because the clients also at the end of the day have to be semi-informed, right? So you might become the de facto expert in your banking firm because things like credit card fraud, uh, you know. Mortgage fraud, lots of stuff in banking and finance is actually to do with data science, right?
Yeah,
So you
true.
might want to know a bit about that. You have to be an informed client. See, it works two ways. Like I have to be informed about the business. They also have to be informed about what I'm doing, right? So you might want to take up a de facto position in a non-technology company.
Okay.
And but yeah, typically, if you're in a technology company like I am, then you will probably be a programmer or a business analyst or a data engineer, and then you'll be a junior scientist and senior scientist, and then head of the research team maybe, or maybe you'll become the CTO. And these are very exciting times to become CTO in a tech company. And that should be everyone's ambition, the way things are moving the last 15 years. So that is by and large the career progression. I'm speaking more from my experience. Probably somebody like you could tell more, but that is my understanding.
Yeah, and I agree with what you have touched upon. Even like I come from a technical product management background. So even I have seen my peers who have moved to data science role, right, as a lateral move itself. Other than that, I feel like there are different industries which are available, and career progression, say, in a startup would be different from a matured company as well, right? So I know we have a young audience here. Definitely, if they want a steep career graph, that's something they can really go and join new startups which are coming up in different fields as well, but they have their own risks too. So I will just say that with that caveat
So
too.
startups are very exciting because I think I worked in smaller companies. So I think from what I know, I've been a part of one startup. Yeah. I think getting the data is easier. It's very informal and it's very fast. But then your cycle time is also faster, and you're if you're uh, if you're clean bold, then you're clean bold. Right? So it's like it's also like you said, it's a high risk thing also.
Yeah.
But it moves faster, and you get data pretty fast. I think yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So my next question is again, it sounds like a fancy job, right? But definitely it will have its own challenges. So I want specifically the students here to see both the sides of any profession. So I would want you to touch upon the challenges first, and how do you really overcome that, and also touch upon the rewards of this profession as well.
Okay. So let me talk about the rewards first. Well, monetarily, I guess people can look up on the web, what kind of monetarily the rewards are huge, definitely. There is if you're working with a company like TCS, there's definitely the opportunity to go abroad, US or Europe. That can be quite exciting, and it's important as well.
Yeah.
And it's also the joy of finding out that what you thought was correct is actually correct. So there's this satisfaction that comes in any data project. It could even be market research, right? So of course, they don't know the answers, but in data science, you believe that something is true and you are working towards it and you say that, yes, I was right. This is what is actually happening. So a lot of things go together. And it's a largely objective field, but it's also, it can be creative as well, because for some techniques, there's more than one way of looking at it. Yeah, so those are what is the other question? Your other question wants to do with?
So challenges, I think in terms of rewards, what you mentioned is like, if you think of a hypothesis and if it gets validated with your data, that's the joy you get. And that's the reward, and definitely monetary reward as well, and opportunities to work in different countries, which gives you a different kind of exposure and make you like a holistic person as well. So that was one part of my question, which you answered. But what are the challenges in this space? Because as I said, I know everyone thinks it's a fancy job, but what is the reality in terms of the challenges per se?
I would say getting the right kind of data.
Okay.
The data has to be complete. It has to be accurate. The data that you want, which you think will solve the problem, has to be available. Then there are also the challenges of keeping pace with the research that's happening. In the last 5-6 years. It's a frenetic pace at which it's happening. And also the challenge, of course, the standard, like work pressures and, people believing that you have a magic wand and you can solve just about anything, which is not true, because even with data, sometimes there's some things that I can't do or, somebody else cannot do. So it's not like we're not magicians. We can't invent things. We can only tell you things that are actually happening out there. Yes, we can make the visuals very pretty, but we can't always, solve something only with data, right? So people believe that, oh, you guys are there now, we can, so because they read so much about it, Times of India. So they believe that, okay, so those are the part of the challenges. There's also I think the risk of sometimes, you are working with something and you need to be aware of what data can do for you, what data is present, and sometimes if it's not present, then you need to watch out for that, right? So you need to be alert, basically. That's one way of looking at it. And so this is, I don't know, this is, it's a very interesting story from Sherlock Holmes. Do you have half a minute to tell you this half-a-minute story?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So there is this Sherlock Holmes story called Silver Blaze, in which a horse gets stolen before a race. Okay. And the thing is called the curious incident of the dog in the night time. Okay. It's also the name of a book about a brave boy with autism. But anyway, so this incident is about after the investigation is over, the inspector asks Holmes that, is there any other point, Mr. Holmes, to which you would like to draw my attention? And Holmes says, to the curious incident of the dog in the night time. And the inspector says, the dog did nothing in the night time. And Holmes says that was the curious incident. Okay, so basically the dog doesn't bark because he knows the thief. That's the note. So something which should have been there is not there, right? And you need to keep your antenna up like an investigator and say that, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be there. I don't see this over here in the data, right? To have that antenna up to figure out things, and that's also important. So you can't be complacent.
So I know it's a high work pressure job and you have to like really deal with a lot of stakeholders as well. So how do you maintain your cool?
I don't know. I do word games. I have a lot of caffeine. I don't play a lot of tennis nowadays because in Bombay that's not easy. In Pune I used to.
Spend a lot there.
I spend time with family. I watch good films, and above all, I listen to music. So it's very important to unwind. Yeah. And yeah, the rewards are worth it at the end of the day.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let me move on to some technical questions itself, which is to start
Sure.
with what kind of technologies and tools do you make use of in your work?
Right. Now, Surbhi, this is things change a lot in 10 years. Okay. So I'm from a generation which we learned a lot of Pascal and C, and C is very big even now, C++ and C,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things have changed in the last 10 years. But what do we use? Okay. So see, there are for running things at scale, you have the big platforms, right? So AWS and uh, uh, Google Cloud and Microsoft, right? Azure. So these are the three for running solutions at scale. Uh, for programming, we use a lot of Python.
Okay.
We use R if certain things are met. My team has used R. You mentioned psychometrics, right? So
Yeah.
mine was a team that developed something for psychometric testing.
Okay.
It uses a field called item response theory, which is a probabilistic way of looking at answers. And it's used in GMAT and GRE.
Okay.
So we use R over there. And right now we are using a lot of Python, and then there's PySpark, and then there's MongoDB. And so it's a universe of providers, and they're all shouting in the marketplace to get themselves heard. But yeah, by and large, it's Python and R. And there's a new language called Julia, which is gaining ground. A lot of people say that, we don't use it, but people say that it's going to replace Python maybe in 5 years' time. Let's see what happens.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. And there are others. There's Rust also, but Julia is supposed to be gaining ground. And the other interesting thing that has happened, which we will be using is, we'll be using network databases, graph databases, which are also useful.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then the usual suspects of Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel. So we do use that. Plenty of that is, after all, you need to communicate to the client through these, right? There's only so much. And then there are also, Power BI, and also my team has used those as well.
Okay.
But this changes every 5 years. So yeah, that's by and large what we use.
Okay. So having like know-how or knowledge of like cloud computing resources like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure, that's what you mentioned. And in terms of
Yes.
programming languages, Python, R, and from a database standpoint, MongoDB and others as well, right? So that's
Right.
what is.
Data engineers need to be good at SQL, and even SQL has changed a lot in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So it's become smarter. But yeah, by and large, that's what my team uses in the last 2-3 years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there was a question, and which I think we would be covering as well. Again, that was more from kind of basic coding skills. What types of basic coding skills are essential? So maybe you touched upon that to an extent as well, but if you want to elaborate on that, because we are on the same question itself.
What basic coding skills? Okay. So I assume you're not talking about GW basic, right? Visual basic. So what is the question? Like whatever basic coding skills are essential?
Yeah, towards data science as a stream, because I think you touched upon programming, which was Python.
Right.
But
Right.
anything from your perspective, anything additional which you would want to add?
I'll say this is not sure how one quantifies basic coding skills. I guess one just goes up the thing of objects and the interfacing between functions, and so I'm not quite sure how to answer this. I would say the programming courses in school will be pretty adequate. So
Okay.
that would be basic coding. They must have thought it out, right? So I'm not quite sure how to answer this. So if you could elaborate on what exactly you're looking for when you say basic coding skills, that might be helpful. Maybe
Yeah,
you could, you could speak into the mic and maybe explain that question.
Yeah, so this is from Dilip Panjwani. So Dilip, would you want to, I'll just, you're unmuted. If you want to elaborate on that question.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. I'm trying to pretty much ask from the perspective of students who are right now in their 10th grade and trying to think about their career path going forward. What kind of coding skills that they could possibly take up as extracurricular from their perspective proactively to get better tuned in when they are coming towards their courses in the BE or BTech and the likes? Would
Mhm.
Python and SQL and MongoDB be adequate, or do you think that we should look up Java or some other coding skill which would possibly help them a little bit
No.
more?
I wouldn't recommend Java at all, Dilip. It's not a language which is the hottest thing in data science right now. It was pretty popular 10 years, even now it's very popular for a certain kind of thing. I guess anything which solves a problem, it could be something as simple as find the factorial of a number or find compound interest. I'm not sure what examples are given in the schools nowadays, but anything that helps you see the relationships between objects and helps you to think clearly, right? Okay, here's an interesting thing. When you write a software program, okay, some languages are easier to write in and they are more compact and they don't go all over the place, right? Java, I think, goes a little bit all over the place. But Python is very compact. Pascal is very compact. C is a little funny to deal with, but even C is quite nice. It's great fun. Skills, yes, you will find a thing, in the, so somebody will tell you, oh, this was the problem we solved, and your child or your ward will, he or she will solve it because they'll have the steps. Is there a different way of writing the same code? And that is the kind of thing which the child needs to think about. So the same problem, is there a different way of writing it? By that, I don't mean a different language. So there are problems, not everything, of course, but there are problems where you can see it in more than one way and you say that actually what we are trying to solve is this, right? And you write the code in a different way and it does the same thing. And that is, you really understood the thing both from a logical and a programming perspective, and that's try and develop that. That's going to be helpful for you, because I used to do a bit of that in college and I had friends who used to do that, and used to be a kind of mini challenge that, can you do this in a different way? So that will really tell you what the problem to be solved is. Otherwise, it will become more like, oh, compound interest, I know what to do. There's a formula, plug it in, put it in, right? So it may run slower, it may run faster. That's not important. The fact is that have you found another way of reaching the same place? So that's also a skill, right? Because code now with Copilot and all, code will be given to you, So things are changing so much in the last 5 years. So there are some, IP issues around Copilot. But yeah, so basic coding skills, I hope I've answered your question. I don't think you should deal with MongoDB right now. It is different. It's like a different kind of database, which is, it's maybe too early if your child is 14, 15, 16 years old. SQL, yes. Basic SQL is very, something which is very intuitive. It's something which he or she must know. Python, for knowing the basic constructs, variables and objects, and get a good handle on object-oriented programming, because that's useful, more and more useful in the last 15, 20 years. I don't think you need to know specialized stuff like, RPCs, remote procedures and all that. All that will come later, because, but think like a programmer. I will try and send some links after this session, which maybe a book or something, which is so elegant ways of solving problems programmatically. That's one way of putting it. I hope that answers your question.
More than adequate. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for taking that up, sir. So I'll move on to my next question. So how are the fields of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science related?
Right. So like I said, Surbhi, data science is really very, it's been around for 300, 400 years, right? Maybe more than that. And it's like applied math at one level. And there were people who were predicting things like crime surges and disease outbreaks, and all that was data science, right? So it was really, they were doing, so it's goes back a long way. Artificial intelligence is relatively new. Okay? I would say the 1940s or 50s saw the first people who were using systems. By that I mean computer systems, right? Computers to solve tasks. Okay, so machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence because it uses data to solve the task. Okay, it looks at existing data and you solve a task. But there are ways of doing artificial intelligence which are not machine learning. So that's like expert systems and rules-based systems, and there's plenty of stuff over there. But machine learning is currently very hot. So machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence and machine learning both draw from data science, right?
Okay.
Definitely machine learning does. Let me explain it like this. So if data can help you to establish a structure, right? Or if data can help you to make an inference or so that's very good, right? Yeah, people are happy, people are interested. But if data can also help you to write the code, what about that?
Okay.
So that's machine learning.
Okay.
So it's not writing the code completely, because that would be like really be impressive and slightly scary also. But you're telling the machine that, look, this is the data. Now tell me what the program is.
Okay.
At least part of the program. Whereas in traditional programming, which I worked in like 15, 20 years back, you have a program that works on the data and gives you the output. Whereas in machine learning, you have the output and you have the input, and you have a bit of the program, but not all of the program. Right? The data is helping you establish the rest of the program. What exactly? And that is where the thing about prediction, and so you have these things like predicting whatever customer churn, credit card fraud, and all. So some of it is coming from the data, right? So machine learning is a natural extension or an evolutionary stage in data science, is the way I see it. It's been around for like let's say 50, 60 years maybe. Yeah, actually no, 30, 40 years maybe. And things have changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years. So that's how I hope I've answered your questions. That's how they're really connected. Data science is working with data to establish inferences, predictions, structures. Artificial intelligence is using systems to solve problems, right? So, and machine learning is using data to solve problems, to find the code that solves the problems.
Okay. Okay.
Like that.
I think that helps with the distinction, because these days I know artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, those have become the buzzwords. But what exactly it means and how they are related, I think at least I have some clarity now, and I'm hoping the students and parents also would have. Okay. My next question is, and I know we are drawing towards the end of the session, and we have like 5.
Oh, are we? I thought we were going to. I was hoping we could talk much more.
So we have 5 minutes left, but if audience can stay over for like maybe 5 minutes more, then we should be able to cover the remaining items, and we can also pick up few more questions which has come up from the audience. But I'll ask one more from my side, and then maybe let's pause and maybe we can pick up questions from the audience as well.
Absolutely.
So it's again, what advice would you give to high school students who are interested in making a career in this field? Kind of like your final advice, how they can prepare themselves better. And I know we have high schoolers as well as folks who are doing bachelors. I think a couple of them are already in their BTech programs. But specifically, what would be your advice to our audience?
Right. I think one needs to, I think I mentioned this, one needs to be interested in mathematics as a tool or a language to understand the world, right? So one needs to treat it as such. One needs to be very curious about the world, because the ability to learn new domains at a first cut level is going to be important in data science. It's always been, and they will find it very useful for them. Maybe they should take up quizzing as a hobby. So
Nice.
that's, one hallmark of a curious person. And of course, learn some light programming. So yeah, by and large, that's the advice I would give, for them to start off right now in this stage.
Okay. Okay. So I have a few other questions as well, but as I said, maybe let's just see if there is any question which is unanswered till now, and that's from the audience as well. So again, like to all our students and parents out there, please feel free to ask questions live as well if you have something in your mind, or feel free to type in the chat.
Somebody's asked something about extracurricular skills. Okay. So I think it's important to even do something like debating or even theater, because a lot of this communication skill comes from, actually speaking in front of an audience. And the general belief or grouse, although that's a stereotype, but the general belief is that engineers by and large are not very verbose or vocal people, right? They are very introverted, and of course you have some great speakers and you have some great people who are in marketing and all that. But by and large, that's a belief. But that needn't be the case, right? You can be
Mhm.
good in math, you can be good in programming, you can be good in accounting, which are all hard subjects, which are like, the scoring subjects. But you need to have a dimension to your personality, which is about communicating with people. It needn't just be in a conference room. It could simply be in an informal setting like a debate or not jam, because jam is mostly noise, right? But
Mhm.
jam sessions. But maybe theater or something which helps. Why not? Why not?
Okay. So there are two more questions as well, sir. If you can take a look and see if there was something which we did not cover.
This one, can a financial analyst also become a data scientist?
Yeah, that's something which has come up just now. And there was another one from Ashik as well.
Yes, but then you will see, the thing is that you will have to give up part of your financial analysis work, right? So I don't know how to say this. You might want to become somebody who's working only with predictions and only with, cluster analysis and stuff like that, which is traditional data science, right? Making inferences, predictions, and all. And you'll have to let go of some of the finance. So there is this excellent book which you might want to read, which I read as a data scientist. It's called "This Time It's Different." Okay, it's by two authors. I forget their names. I found it in the TCS library and it's brilliant. Or did I find it in the American Center library, because I'm part of 3 libraries? I found it somewhere. I borrowed it and read it. It's an excellent book about analysis of financial data. What causes crashes and downturns, and actually it's also saying that history repeats itself, right? So to answer your question, yes, of course, in some sense you already are a data scientist because you're working with data. But to get deeper into the field, you might have to let go of some of your. You may not have time to pursue finance or what's happening in the finance world in the same way. Is my belief, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And there is one question which has come up from Ashik. And Ashik, we have already covered it. And I'll just read out that question, sir. But I think I can share the recording as well. And you can go through that, Ashik. He's asking what's the roadmap to become data scientist, where to start from? Is there any free certifications available online to start with? So the first two part of your question is something which we covered in the start of the conversation itself. So you can go through the recording. And in terms of free certifications available online to start with, sir, any inputs on that from your end?
Coursera has some good stuff. Some of it is, if you take the audited course and you can't give the assessments, but you can read the entire course. edX, capital X has some good courses as well. These are international educational, hubs or providers. And free certification, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody like Surbi would know more about this. I'm not very sure if they'll give it free. But if you want to start reading, then yes, Coursera is a pretty good place to start.
So yeah, and even the Coursera or like edX and even Udemy, right, sir?
Udemy, yes.
Yeah, the cost of those courses are also very nominal. So if
Very
not
true.
free, it's very nominal. So I think you can really go through it. And there are like basic Python courses as well, Python
Yes.
for beginners or so, which you
Yes.
can explore and at a very nominal cost. If I'm not mistaken, something like say 300-400 rupees as well during their discounting period. So go and explore these platforms which sir has already mentioned, and you should be able to find a suitable course too. Okay, so yeah, sir, please go ahead. You want
Yeah,
to
one
add?
thing I was wanted to tell you, kind of skipped my mind, is that you're talking about what should you do. I think you should also read about the history of programming and the history of mathematics. I think it's very important to get that grounding. And to understand maths, I'll just give you a quick. So there's this book called Men of Mathematics by E.T. Bell. So all the maths that you're learning in your school and your college, it tells you about why things happen the way they happen, and you'll understand maths in a different way. And there are similar books on software as well. And yeah, so that's the kind of thing which they should also be doing to give them perspective. Yeah.
Great. I know we are 3 minutes over, but if our audience can, and sir, you as well can stay over for 2-3 minutes more, I have some lighter questions as well for you.
Sure.
So
Happy to
are you ready for a rapid fire, sir?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. I'll go ahead. So whatever comes to your mind first, and it has to be quick, not too much thinking there. Okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay. So one fun fact about Sudarshan, sir.
Okay. Fine. So I once, actually jumped out of a window in IIM to escape a boring lecture. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So I wasn't there in the course. I had a friend called Venki, Casey Venkatesh, who's now in Singapore, and he was there in the course. I wasn't part of that course, and he said, "I'm going for my class." I said, "I'll come with you." He said, "But you will be seen." So I was there, and the lecture was really becoming really boring. Although we had excellent finance faculty in Ahmedabad, in fact, better than the marketing faculty, but so that lecture was not very exciting. I said, "I want to leave." He said, "You can't leave. You know, it's like he'll see you." So I said, "No, he's taking 15 seconds to write on the board. And in those 15 seconds, I will slip out from the window at the back." And these classrooms were like at half floor level. Okay? So they were not like ground floor. So you had to actually climb down. It's not like first floor. You don't have to come from the first floor. But you have to climb down a little to come from the classroom. And there was a window at the back. So I actually did that. And I came out and some students saw me. Luckily, no prof saw me. And I came back to the hostel. So I've done that once. Yeah, it was a very boring lecture, but I'm glad I came out. So yeah.
I hope your professor doesn't listen to the YouTube recording later on.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Anyhow, okay. So if not a data scientist, then what would you be?
I think I might have been a lawyer. I've always been interested in law.
Okay.
And we talked about AI and machine learning, and now knowledge of law is becoming important because of data privacy and because of AI regulation and all that. And it's very interesting to know that law can be useful. I might have been a lawyer or maybe a journalist, writer. I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if you could have any superpower, or rather, I'll say if you could have just one superpower, what would that be?
I'm not much into the Marvel universe, so I'm not really a fan. And I understand why it's addictive, Harry Potter and all these fantasy things. I know they're beautiful. I'm more into science fiction, books, that kind of stuff. Superpower, okay. I think from an Indian context, I would go back and not allow the partition of India to happen.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a very sad event in our history.
Okay.
And it should have never happened. It should have never been separate nations. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing I would do as a superpower.
Okay. So going back in time and changing.
Yeah, stopping that.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. One favorite book, sir?
Lots of favorite books. So science fiction and Sherlock Holmes. And so, oh, that's difficult. Okay, for the young audience, because I believe the reading habit is coming down a bit in the last 15, 20 years with so much of OTT and mobile phones and all. One book I would really recommend to, if you're age 14, 15, 16, is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It's a beautiful book about a boy in the US and something that every child should read, boy or girl. It's still a favorite book of mine. Then there's David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. And the non-fiction, since we've been talking so much about mathematics, one book comes readily to mind. It's called The Music of the Primes, okay, by Marcus Sudarshan Shidore, who's incidentally a speaker in today's Tata Literature Live. So he's there today, I think. I met him once. It's a beautiful book. It's about prime numbers, and you don't need advanced mathematics knowledge to read the book. Everyone knows what prime numbers are, right? So you study them in school. And they talk about Ramanujan and the prime numbers, and it's an amazing book.
Okay.
Do look it up, yeah. So lots of other books, but yeah, just keep it down to these three.
Great. Thank you, sir. And the last one is any favorite quote?
I guess, well, some of them are from fiction, but yeah, but why not? So the favorite quote of, oh, what happened?
No. Go ahead, sir. Sorry for that distraction.
The favorite quote of most data scientists is, we trust in God, all other people, please bring data, right? You might have seen that.
Yes, that's a very famous one.
Right. There's another quote I have, which is my email signature actually at the office. It's by a poet, A.K. Ramanujan, not to be confused with the mathematician Ramanujan. He was a Kannada and Tamil poet. very talented. So the quote goes, I have heard it said that you can count all the oranges on a tree, but you cannot count all the trees in a
Trees in an
single
orange.
orange.
Yes, yes.
Basically saying that you won't know what came before and you can always guess at one level. And that's important to remember as a data scientist.
True, true.
Sometimes you don't know. Right?
Great. So thank you so much, sir, for all the insights. And with that, we are coming to the end of the session. I know we overshooted by a few minutes, but I hope our audience, you found all the insights from this fireside chat interesting. So on the screen, you can see our social media handles and even our contact details. So if you need any kind of assistance from us at the Dream Catchers, we would be happy to assist you. Have a good rest of the day today then. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you, Surbi. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And you're doing a great job over there. And thank you to all the participants. Wish you all the best in your data science and otherwise careers. Yeah. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a good one. Bye.
Okay. Bye.